Note the disclaimer.
Okay then, definitely sin in that. Creepy banana dolphins with kangaroo legs. Pretty sure Kanganathans are the final sign of the apocalypse, so thanks, Sony.
Okay, sure, those legs may look a little bit like Skippy's, but the hybrid there is supposed to be a banana stretch, despite the dolphin call. Also, still sinning logos, just with a different approach. Kangaroo legs. If those were kangaroo legs, then I'm Robert Irwin.
Having this line take the place of the credits is a genius idea. Wait, they still do 5 minutes of credits at the end? Well, then here's the sin for wasting my time with this. And another one for reading.
But this is a true-to-form credit for the Cloudy movies, since the first one did this as well. And since this is sinning something you like, and you did this for the first film too, that technically earns you a double-dipping sin.
My whole life, I always wanted to be a great inventor.
Previously on Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
And since this came out 4 years after the first movie, this narration is here to give a refresher to those who may not have remembered it back when this film was released.
My dream was to make the world a better place.
If you're going to spend 3% of the movie replaying the last movie, we're just going to add 3% of the last movie's sins to your total. Them's the rules.
Padding the sin count again. Wait, this isn't sentient popcorn, is it? I'm just gonna put this down for now.
When the weather evolved into a disaster of epic proportions.
Jesus fucking a-hole Christ. We have seen all this already. Why the did we come to the sequel if we didn't remember anything about the original? You want to eat my ass? Because I think you deserve to.
By the grace of God, go wash your mouth out right damn now, Jeremy.
By destroying my greatest invention, I made something even better. Friends.
Are friends better than inventions? Look, I love you, Josh, but I'm trading you for penicillin every single day of the week, buddy.
Maybe that's why Jeremy doesn't have many friends. He keeps trading them in for whatever new hot invention is flying off the shelves that week. God, I hope his wife isn't next. Also, like Luke said, friends are an important thing to have in your life.
Well, we can invent fantastic machines like the Flintstoner.
Yeah! But not that one.
No.
Right, nothing worth pursuing about turning water into food. Scientists keep fine-tuning and experimenting after failure. Did Mark Watney stop trying stuff when his potato farm exploded? No, he tubered on, and so should you.
The reason why Flint that word is abandoning the Flidzum is because it caused a caloric disaster that nearly destroyed the world. So being the clever individual he is, he wouldn't want to repeat that mistake. Also, Mark Watney from The Martian called he's not happy about being compared to a kooky inventor from an animated movie.
What shall we call our lab?
Oh, how about Sparkswood?
This movie went from previous film footage to new but mundane footage very quickly.
Would love to hear why that's a sin, though.
Cute that they animated the poop smear and all, but didn't everyone else sign this too? Or is the movie saying they each drew their own characters? Because there was no way Manny drew this shaded masterpiece of himself in that short amount of time.
For one, yes, because Steve and Tim were the only ones that didn't add their caricatures. Secondly, it's Manny. He can basically do anything. In the first film, we hear that as well as being a camera operator for the news, he was also a doctor, a pilot, and to a lesser extent a comedian. And we later see him assisting a cow with a calf's birthing process. So him doing a detailed sketch of himself wouldn't be too far-fetched, even in this movie about living food.
Including your swallow fall.
It will never not.
Yeah, I don't care about that. But isn't this supposed to refute your sin from the end of the first movie?
As we pan back in happiness, just look at all that food. That's going to get moldy and dangerous to be around in about a week. These people are all dead, they just don't know it yet.
Not quite. The second movie picks up right on that, in which the residents are evacuated and cleanup begins. Retroactive sinning! So why didn't you realise this and say precursory sin off for the movie correcting my mistake?
I agree with Cheese, because the footage you showed in this sin is proof of what he and I said in our videos for the first film for the last sin that we both responded to. And sure, I've made similar mistakes in my videos where I make a claim, but there's evidence I either don't know or forgot about that proves it wrong. But that has helped me realize when I need to do revisions when doing the writings for my videos. And when you're a one-man show like me, Cheese, Captivator, or Granny Tomice, it's easy to make mistakes like that. But for a channel that has multiple writers, I feel like what Cheese said should have been realized.
You're absolutely on the money there, Luke.
And of course the machine comes back to life, because how are sequels supposed to sequel if they don't include every single part of the original, even if it undermines the final entire act of the previous movie?
Even Finding Dory? And Cars 2? And Thor Ragnarok? And Terminator 2 Judgment Day? And Aliens? And Return to Oz? And Mission Impossible 2? And Fast 5? And Batman Forever? and
In case you confused it with a new flavor of Mountain Dew.
and 10 Cloverfield Lane, and Captain America the Winter Soldier. Oh, oops! Got carried away there for a second. Anyway, that's a soda flavour, not a place. And this gag only works if the place you confuse it with isn't real.
Do I look like a future Thinkonaut?
Oh, come on! It was clear he was walking in a 3D space and not in front of a background sheet. And yes, I know it's that kind of movie. But they're saying F you to reality, and then there's murdering reality's family while reality has its eyes pinned open and is being forced to watch. And how do I not sin that?
By simply accepting that this isn't our reality, instead of sinning it for being unrealistic when you know that's what the movie is doing. And like Luke mentioned, Think We're Not is missing a K in the yellow text.
I can't play it for you, but Paul McCartney is now singing a song that doesn't fit this movie at all. And I haven't heard a good musician destroy a movie this much since U2 desecrated the end of Gangs of New York.
Like I brought up in the Cars 2 video, a movie doesn't have to have a song playing that matches the current circumstances in it. And this is very similar to what Vader said in Cars 2 as well, and in Big Hero 6, or like Luke in The Prince of Egypt and Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Good morning, Flint Lockwood and lab partner. I'm Barb.
And I'm meeting with you at the top of the escalator, where I knew you would be at this very moment, somehow.
Jeremy manipulates dialogue cliche, and it's likely Chester V told Barb to meet Flint Lockwood and Steve there, but that isn't important to the story at large.
There are caffeine stations every 10 feet.
Sounds like Earth.
Well, that doesn't really work since this is on Earth. And what are you sending it for anyway? People need their caffeine fix.
Okay, Steve. We have 6 months until the vesting ceremony.
I watched the last 10 minutes and I'm amazed this guy came out of it with such clarity. All it did for me was jumble my brain and add 15 cents.
Good old Jeremy and his failing attention span. Anyway, Flint Lockwood was given this information by Barb before he was shuttled into his office.
That's not even a possibility until our next vesting ceremony.
Oh, what's that?
Well, that's where Chester V handpicks a great inventor and makes him into a Thinkonaut.
When?
Next one's in 6 months, so submit your ideas and who knows, he might choose you.
Really?
So if you were actually paying attention, you'd know that.
Flint goes through several absolutely world-changing inventions during this montage. There's shrinking technology, portals, and even invisibility. Why couldn't the movie have focused on any of those instead of serving us stale leftovers from the first one?
Because these were ideas that Flint Lockwood came up with to try and guarantee a promotion, which failed until Chester V makes the offer to turn him into a Thinkonaut if he helps Chester find the Flidsome Defer.
I get that the movie is probably aware of how tropey it's being with the wall of TVs that just happen to be news positioning our hero's humiliation as he walks by, but as my friend always said to me growing up, awareness doesn't unf the Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, yes, the movie is aware of that, but was that last comment there really necessary? You could have just left that off.
The bad guy is super uber rich, like Jeff Bezos rich, and he has no one on staff that can find the mysterious MacGuffin on the island, so he decides to send our main character back as some kind of a local knowledge patsy, and I already don't get this.
Of course you don't get it. Alright, Chester can't find the Flidsome Defer, so he sends Flint Lockwood over because he idolizes Chester and is willing to do anything for him. Which, if you didn't talk over Chester's monologue here, you'd hear him say those exact words. Also narration.
I don't get this. Is it winter on your torso and summer on your arms?
Tim Lockwood would be excellent at stealing Dimitri Martin jokes, to excel at vest synths.
What? What are you talking about?
The movie thinks its running gag where people's arms do multiple things at the same time is hilarious, but it breaks my brain, and I prefer my brain unbroken.
Cartoon physics, Chester. Look it up and call me in the morning.
I'm going back to Swallow Falls to destroy the Flintstoner, which is creating deadly food monsters which are trying to learn to swim so they can attack Lady Liberty!
So we spent the first 25 minutes of this movie getting us to basically the same plot as the first movie. Recycling might be great for the environment, but it is a plague on sequels.
First off, like I alluded to earlier, not all sequels have the exact same plot lines as the previous film. Secondly, the plot of this film isn't anywhere close to similar with the first movie. As for the first one, the group only got together to find and terminate the machine only in the third act. In this film, however, it's the main goal until Flint Lockwood changes his mind upon seeing what it can actually do.
That's why we'll need help.
And now we are into the putting the team together montage, and by team, I mean every single character from the first movie that the marketers decided the audience couldn't live without.
Yeah? I mean, generally you'd have to have some of the same characters as before since they fulfill vital roles in the story.
Grunting out your beard.
Sinning Terry Crews.
Why?
Oh, and pointing things out on the screen.
I was born on the island, and I want to die on that island. Just like your mom.
They should put that on a greeting card.
Objection, relevance. And what are you, off-brand Hallmark? That's terrible.
When and why did you draw this artist's rendering of a cheeseburger monster?
During the boat ride. That's the when. As for the why, it's so his friends have an idea of what they should be keeping an eye out for.
I was gonna say nuts, but now I'm afraid to.
Thing I said to my college girlfriend when she asked,
No! Jeremy, cold shower, now!
"Oh no, Swallow Falls has turned into Pandora."
Jeremy, Avatar called, they want their moon back. And they still haven't forgiven you for the mentions in How to Train Your Dragon 2 and 3, by the way.
I'm gonna cut the cheese.
At least this one was funnier than your college girlfriend references.
This joke was funny in the first movie, was probably the working title for this film. This costume has nexicles, and I'm not okay about it.
Those are called wattles, Jeremy. All chooks have them.
Thankfully, this car floats.
Yeah, so?
Look at the mangoes!
You mean flamingos?
Flamingos!
So not only did the machine somehow create sentient animal foods, but it just happened to do so in ways that create perfect portmanteaus. If there's one thing technology sucks at, it's comedy. So your shrimp pansies can eat my sentient cocktail sauce.
Objection, opinion. You're just letting your anger loose like a rabid wildebeest.
They survived all of this bullshit.
Okay, and?
Car is still floating. This movie has no idea how cars are built. Those assholes in Onward floating on a Cheeto made more sense than this.
Like I said before, this isn't our reality.
This is Barb, my number 2.
Naming your number 2s.
Eh? Well, what are Chris and Aaron then? Disposables? Lackeys? Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
The strawberry shits out the USB thing, the boy touches it, then the monkey licks it off. And how did the animators do this sequence without puking the brains out?
Maybe because it was jam, not actual excrement? Therefore, it wasn't actually that gross.
Banana stretch! Ah!
Ostriches? Ostriches? They literally look and sound like dolphins. Calling these ostriches is like calling me a movie critic.
To be fair, though, you are a movie critic. Not a very good one, mind you, but a movie critic nonetheless. Just like how people like myself, Vader, Moon, Luke, Birdman, Grandy Tomias, S-Mania, and more are critics of your channel.
This movie is so misguided. I almost feel sorry for it.
Care to explain why? Or how?
That bunch of banana ostriches nearly split us.
I find your banana puns unappealing.
Objection, opinion.
This laboratory of yours is a wonder of engineering.
Really? There are egg cartons for walls.
Jeremy has never heard of soundproofing.
Also, how many eggs suffered or were wasted to make this wannabe spaceship hallway?
Doesn't matter since it isn't important to the story, nor was it important in the first movie.
I invented them when I was 6. I invented mine when I was 3.
Guys, you're supposed to measure what's in the underwear to see who's more important.
Gross.
Stew offered by a bully is poisoned broth.
Well, maybe. No stew offered by no one is poison starvation. I'm not sure what that means, but it was menacing in my head.
Oh boy, here we go again.
So how do you make a gorilla stew?
You keep it waiting for 2 hours.
Movie has time for this.
Funny, I could say the same about the amount of times you pad the sin count for irrelevant like this.
A bully turned friend will befriend to the end.
Tell that to Tad Cunningham.
No, I'm with Luke on this one. Sinning this scene for any reason whatsoever.
Oh, I get it now. These pickles are basically minions.
I was just going to call this a pop culture reference call and leave it there, but then I noticed the adding 10 sins for that. Honestly agree, but it's still padding the sin count.
Penis laser.
Charming.
Bananas were already a different animal twice. They can't be horses now. Get the f*** out of here.
They haven't changed, mate. They've always been ostriches.
But pythons don't have rattlers. Sorry, I'm just trying to stay sane while this movie does a freaking walking montage for 3 minutes.
You are correct that pythons don't have rattlers, but that's in the real world, and like I've said many times before, this isn't our reality. Also, this isn't the movie's fault that you lost your sanity. You must have lost it a long time ago.
Really? A butter parquet joke? That was like 1993. There's never been a more obvious for the parents in the audience joke in the history of kids' movies.
You are aware of the concept of a family movie, right, Jeremy? There's going to be at least a couple of winks for the adults in the audience as well as the kids.
We should be studying the food animals, not killing them.
I see the Oliver Platt role from Lake Placid in this movie will be played by this girl.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Well, I guess this doesn't matter either.
young Lockwood.
There it is, right on schedule. You could basically set your watch by the third act conflict introduction. My watch is now set to 5 minutes till paint by numbers o'clock.
Someone still doesn't understand how this movie trope works.
You got special sauce!
Weird, the dude in that porno My Uncle Terry.
No!
Where the f*** did all these marshmallows come from that he didn't already see them? And why all of a sudden do I want to impale them, burn them alive, and stuff them between graham crackers and chocolate?
I think that's just a you problem. And along with that, Sin, you're getting some more, because you cut out the previous scene explaining this.
Marshmallow.
So for this, you also get a bonus Jeremy manipulates scenes cliche, Sin.
Launch Operation Slice and Dice.
For which we have equipment already in place despite only finding out the location of the machine within the last 5 minutes. What if it had been in a cave? What would you have done then, huh?
Well, technically this was in a cave, even if it was in a mountain. As for the equipment, LivCorp were already there for 6 months to find and retrieve the Flidsum Defer under the guise of cleaning up the island. And since they sent several teams there to capture it already, before being wiped out by various foodimals like the cheese spider and the taco dial, it wouldn't be too far gone to say that the organisation had this in place for the longest time while the residents were still stuck in San Fran Jose. Not to mention the building of a new office on the island in secret.
Attempted murder.
Well, if they were to interfere with his schemes, of course Chester wouldn't care about human lives. I mean, hell, he tries to turn Sam and the gang into food bars just before the final showdown.
This entire conversation happens easily, and with no distortion, even though everyone is behind thick glass, because movies!
Yeah, so?
Convenient helmet and flashlight laying nearby are convenient.
See the previous Sin.
Oh, shut the f*** up, movie. You're trying to have some big twist moment here, but if this stuttering VHS tape weren't bullshit enough, how does every foodimal even know about it?
Yeah, Luke covered this one the best, so I'll just let his original voiceover take over.
Probably because all the foodimals were created by the Flidsum Defer, and Flynn is the one who invented that machine.
Basically, they're born with this knowledge, like I pointed out in Inside Out.
He's giving a speech to sentient food, and the tiny strawberry in a football helmet is translating for the pickles and marshmallows.
Mate, if I wanted a blow-by-blow description of the movie, I'd have stuck on the director's commentary.
Should be a piece of cake.
The first movie was so inventive, and every joke in this one is like the laziest excuse for wordplay ever. Eat a bag of eggplants, movie.
Hold it! That's a contradiction since you padded the sin count for the first movie's food puns. Caught yourself in a pickle there, mate. Secondly, sinning the late great James Caan. Unacceptable.
In order to go save his captive friends, Flint and the Foodimals spend what I'm assuming is about 6 days planning, welding, and constructing a boat with a giant fishing rod. These are the dumbest heroes ever.
Well, that's extremely wrong, as what the movie is telling us is that it all took place on the exact same night.
Packers fans.
Care to tell us why you decided to say that on an image of my uncle on Flint Lockwood's head?
Tower of Babish?
Jeremy, Andrew Ray called. He wants his show back.
There's a leak in my boat.
I didn't think it was possible, but, I think that's actually even less funny than the first time you made that joke.
Okay, I didn't cover this earlier, but last time you said leak in the yellow text when Flint Lockwood was screaming, but now you say leak here.
Why?
You're a monster! Those are living creatures!
Well, so are regular real-world watermelons.
Yeah, but those aren't sentient like these ones are. So what's your point?
This movie breaks so many rules of logic in this final battle that it's almost not worth sinning, but I have a job to do, so here goes.
No, I don't have the time or patience to cover this utter dog's dinner, so I'm just going to take the amount of sins that you gave each of them and times it by 2. Also using Deus Ex Machina incorrectly just after using Chekhov's blank correctly.
This is a kid's movie in name only. If you were really paying attention, it's f***ing nightmare fuel.
Many animated movies do still have dark themes or scenes. Remember Lightning McQueen's wreck in Cars 3? Stoic's death scene in How to Train Your Dragon 2? The Chop Shop scenes in Robots? Hell, most of Disney's early movie catalogue?
The movie is acting like there's an elevator up to this bitch when Flint nearly died hopping from one tiny rock candy spire to another the first time we saw this place.
No such luck on an elevator, but this time it's the wild scallions that you weirdly wanted to that helped Flint Lockwood and the gang up to the high platform where the Flidsum Defer was. And with all that, court is adjourned. Be sure to leave any more suggestions for CinemaSins sins down below, and I will see you in the next video.